Now I will request President Pakistan Endocrine Society, Dr. Aisha Sheikh, for next session, Meet the Expert. And for this session, we have with us President IDF. So, Madam, kindly come to the stage. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalatu wassalamu ala khatamin nabiyyin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum. And it's my great pleasure to introduce to you to the Meet the Legends session, and which is designed to honor two exceptional people whom we have here in this hall. Professor Peter Schwarz, President, International Diabetes Federation. Please come on the stage. It's a huge honor for us, Pakistan Endocrine Society, to host Professor Peter Schwarz in this annual meeting. So, and the other person is our very own Dr. Abbas Raza, President, International Society of Endocrinology, and past President, Pakistan Endocrine Society. And he has many other honors and awards to his credit. So I will, so the audience here would like to learn about your journey that you went through. You are presiding the most prestigious diabetes organization in the world. How does that journey, so you can share your journey and the challenges that you faced, and what can you advise to the audience? How can they follow your footsteps? And I'm sure that must be an inspiring journey. So over to you, Professor Peter Schwarz.
Salam alaikum. I must say it's a great honor to be here today, and I apologize that I walk up on stage and have a coffee in my hand, but I arrived about 2.5 hours ago and I had only 55 minutes sleep, and I was traveling the last 10 days, every day in another country, in Africa and here in the region. But I wanted to come to Pakistan because to experience the enthusiasm and the passion of the colleagues here in Pakistan, how they treat endocrinology diseases, how they treat people with diabetes. This is something, I would say it's maybe not right if I say it's unique in the world, but it's somehow unique in the world. And I would express a very, very warm thank you very much to all of you for having this passion, having this enthusiasm for people with diabetes. I'm Peter Schwarz, President of the International Diabetes Federation, and actually it's wrong that I'm sitting here because I normally was supposed in April next year to take over the presidencyship, and there was our colleague Professor Akhtar Hussain, who was the president, and on the mission of IDF he was giving a lecture in Sao Paulo to 5,000 colleagues about obesity and moved to the hotel room and died. So I assumed the presidency-ship of IDF, and now for the next 3 years I will be the president of IDF. And I must say this is one of the coolest jobs you can have, because leading an organization with 242 member organization, being responsible for 550 million people with diabetes worldwide, and the capital of diabetes is here. In China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh are 80% of the people with diabetes. Leading this organization and having a passion to think about how to improve, to address the need of people with diabetes, how to improve the delivery of care for people with diabetes, and working with hundreds or maybe even thousands of colleagues in the world who have the same passion. I think this is the best job you can get if you are interested in improving the care for people with chronic diseases or NCDs. Why I'm here? I wrote this, because 55 minutes of sleep, I thought I'm sitting here and I forget everything what I want to say. I wrote a small piece of paper. And if I read what I wrote there, it's authentic, honest, persistence, learn from failure, think big, never give up, think from the end onwards, and be charismatic. And this was today in the morning, as I had my first coffee, this is the second one, the intuitive answer, what I would say, what is important to be a leader in diabetes, to be a leader in a large healthcare related NGO, to be a leader as advocate for the need of people with a chronic disease. Why charismatic? Because if you talk about 1.2 million healthcare professionals treating people with diabetes, there are only 1.2 million healthcare professionals treating people with diabetes in the world. So you could say it's a very big number, but actually it's not. Reaching 1.2 million is a doable job. But many of them are very passionate about their work and doing something, but to motivate them to think bigger, to think out of the box, to think about how they can change the environment. Because it's very easy to work in your environment, and we always believe our environment is good. But if you compare to a neighboring country, we may see, we can improve. And to reach this, you need a charisma. I think the secret of my success was also persistence and never to give up. If you have a goal, and I think the goal can never be too big. If you are a student and you say, I want to become the president of our national organization, maybe someone says, oh no, you're a student, you cannot. No, think like this. Think about the big goals. Maybe you don't reach this goal during the lifetime, but having a big goal in front of you, where you always are motivated to follow this, always motivated to follow this track, this is what is important, because it gives you a lot of energy. Then I think there is nothing bigger than being authentic and honest. Leading a large organization, of course you find many people who tell you what you want to hear, or who tell you what they believe what you want to hear. But it doesn't help you. You need to have the people who criticize you. You need to find the people who tell you, Peter, this is totally wrong what you're doing. Or I believe you are totally on the wrong. And then you start discussing. And this is the moment where you learn something. And this is also the point, to initiate this discussion, you only can by being authentic. But this is also the point where I would argue the biggest source of experience is to fail. If you have 100 people and the people try once, whatever it is, getting a coffee, and so then maybe 96 fail in the first attempt. How many go for a second attempt? So the number will decrease a lot. How many go to the third? How many go for a 10th? And there is a number, if you often enough try, you always will succeed. Because with every try, you learn from the failure before or from the missing attempt before. So trying and trying and trying again will ultimately make you a success story. And this is basically everything. So I would say, for me, do I am a leader in diabetes care? Of course I am by leading the organization, but whether the people will say, do I was a leader in diabetes care, they may say it in 3 years. So for me, this position is a big promise to anyone that I will invest all my energy, all my enthusiasm, all my passion, all my experience from failure to invest in strategies to improve people with diabetes. I don't know how it will be in 3 years, but I will be sure that I gave everything what I have, and maybe even a little bit more if I have enough coffee, to achieve the mission and the vision of IDF. And at the end, maybe a very, very private thing. I have a very strong wife, and I have 2 children. And one of our first child, she's 21 years, and she's severely handicapped. She is every day, she is having 3 epileptic seizures. She's a very pretty woman, but she cannot speak, she cannot eat herself. So my wife and myself, we have to take care about everything per day for her. And this made us strong. So it's a very private, very personal experience, but it's an example how these experiences make you thinking, make you to the person you are, and make you learn how to help other people in a similar condition. And for me, these are people living with diabetes mellitus. So it's a great honor for me to be the president of this organization. And I promise always to have an open eye, an open ear, and an open heart for all the needs of people with diabetes. And I see us as healthcare professionals as a catalyst to, in the bottleneck position to deliver the best diabetes care available. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Peter, for sharing your truly inspirational journey and the fact that challenges made you stronger and the attributes of a leader. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Abbas Raza, we have witnessed your journey all these years, but for many of our audience who are not aware of their journey, would you share their journey and the challenges that you faced, and what would you like to give comments or advise our audience about that?
Thank you, Aisha, for number one, inviting me and helping me. It's really, honestly, I glanced through the room and I find that probably everyone and anyone that who's sitting here, except for one or few exceptions, have been part of what I call my journey. And again, I think it's important, apart from the Aisha, the religious point of view, apart from the spiritual point of view, I think there are few important parts and important principles in my life. And I think I just wrote down when Peter was giving his talk. And I'll go through them one by one, which is important. And one of the pillars of the journey has been leap of faith. The other one is destiny. And the third one is failures. And the last is friendships. And I'll go about them one by one. So I remember when I was moving from US, where I was getting my training. I was on top of the world. I was the first Pakistani to be sitting in the board of American Association of Endocrinology. I was a board member, and I was actually leading the whole function. And again, I went to my program director and said, I'm moving back to Pakistan. And he said, I'm not going to give you a recommendation letter. And I thought it was not a good thing that he wouldn't. And I said, why are you not going to give me a recommendation? He said, I want to know first one thing. And I said, what? And he said, please tell me one thing which I cannot provide you in US that you're going to get in Pakistan, and I will give you a recommendation. And I said, honestly, I don't have that one point. Again, I'm just going to be with my family, be with the people I would like to work with. And again, that's when I left. So that was my leap of faith when we decided. And again, most of the people have taken that leap one time or the other in their lives. So it's not exception to the rule. The other part that I strongly believe in, and again, is destiny as well. And again, I'm not trying to be a religious preacher. You could bring to any religion in the world, but I personally believe there are few things the Almighty wants you to do. And actually, if you start taking this step in that direction, it's not only your hard work, but hard work is done by a lot of people. I think it's that picking up by the Almighty which puts you in a direction and brings you to the level that it does. And I know there are a lot of people sitting in this room who've probably done much more than what I've done. They've worked really hard, and again, I got the responsibility of doing it. And again, Peter was very rightly saying, he's probably, if I can quote unquote him, and again, probably not getting the full gist of it, but he's not a leader, but he has to show his leadership in the next 3 years to be remembered as a leader of IDF. And I think that's a responsibility. There will be many Peters in the world, but not everyone gets a responsibility. And to get that responsibility is as an honor, but it has a responsibility as well. So you need to come up with the responsibilities of what you would want to do. Last but not the least is the failures, and I think Peter also mentioned about the failures. I remember when I came back to Pakistan, my father was in government service, so he asked me to join a government institution. I applied in one of the leading government institutions. They hired me right away, and they said, you know what, we have an endocrine department, which we don't have an endocrinologist at, and you become the head of the endocrine department. I was given an option of becoming the initial to begin with associate professor and head of department of that institution. I started going there without having the documentation. The associate professorship was downgraded to assistant professor on the third week of my going there. The assistant professorship was actually downgraded to senior registrar. They said, we cannot put you on assistant professor because we have to get too many NOCs. Why don't you start as a senior registrar as a first position, and then we will move you to assistant professor, which I was fine. Then there was the summary was sent to Islamabad, and the summary came back, and there was an advertisement in the paper for which I was asked to apply, and it was for the senior medical officer position that I had to apply. And they said, you know what, in the next few years we'll upgrade you and make you the. And at that time I said, maybe it's not this is not probably something I would want to wait, because if this is what we're doing. So I left that. So I went into private practice, and I think it was a big failure for me at that time that I could not be this the head of department or the endocrinology. There was no endocrinologist in Lahore. Dr. Faisal Masood was there, but he was already a professor and he was doing medicine. But at that time, I don't remember if there was any endocrinologist. It was a big disappointment. But that journey of not working in a government institution, having the mornings free, led me to becoming the member of Pakistan Endocrine Society. And again, I remember in a group of few people, I was then elected as the president of Pakistan Endocrine Society. From Pakistan Endocrine Society, I had, because the mornings were most of the time, so I can spend more time. So I had the opportunity to work in the world's, I would say it's one of the world's largest population-based organization. If you look at the pure gist of it, which is the SAFES, which is South Asian Federation of Endocrinology, that includes about 2.5 billion people of the world, which is Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka. From there onwards, I had an opportunity to work in ICE, which is, if you look at the organization point of view, we have the highest national organization as part of organization. I became the board member, and I'm currently serving as ICE president. So the journey of one failure led to me to a direction which probably had a lot of, and again, I call these more responsibilities. And that brings me to the last point before I finish, is friendship. And I think everyone and anyone in this room, starting from Atif and Riaz and Hamid and everyone, I cannot name enough people that actually, I don't know if Amir is in the room, and maybe there he is, and Faisal again. These are the people who have actually led me and held my hand to take me to the next level of responsibility. I would not say the position, but responsibility, and they helped me in I had a chance to meet with Peter, and again, I was just asking him, how can we work together to make impact in the global world as far as getting together with IDF, and again, that friendship is very important in any relationship, and keeping your feet on the ground while you're trying to build that relationship is very, very important. And again, that's how I would say that friendship, honesty in what you do, and taking the responsibility rather than taking it as for granted is important. Thank you.
It is very important if you listen to someone, and then even if you listen, it makes you thinking. And I would like to add 2 points, and one is listen to others. Because there are 400 people in the room here. All of us have a lot of experience. We have different views. If you are an open person, if you are authentic, and you listen to your colleagues, you get all the sources of energy, of new ideas, of a new project by talking openly to others. And this is very, very important. Imagine being the president of such an organization. Needs of people with diabetes, the needs of healthcare professionals, the needs of the healthcare system in different countries are very different. 6 weeks ago, I was in Sri Lanka, Nepal, and in various Indian cities. And the training of the colleagues was very similar, but the environment that they are working in was totally different. And you only experience this if you go there and if you listen to the people in a very, very honest way. And this is the biggest source of getting ideas about what to change, what to address, and what your objective can be. And the second aspect I would like to add, be totally fearless. If you fear to go one step after the other, you will not succeed. Or you may be successful in 1 or 2 out of 10 steps. But being fearless and going ahead, thinking out of the box, and I apologize for a little bit disruptive view, sometimes also prepare you to be ready to throw your mentor out of the monument. Because and we all know these examples. We have our mentors, and our mentors are the people, like you say, who help us, who prepare the way for us. But the challenge or the responsibility for the mentorship is you have to know when it's ready to leave. And this is a very difficult task if you are a mentor. And you or the people, your students have to be ready at a certain point to think fearless and disruptive, also to override or to, if I say throw the mentor away, it's very excessive, but to take the position of the mentor. And for me, these are different aspects of leadership. And leading an organization sometimes also means you have to take the responsibility for difficult decisions. Don't fear this. If you don't decide, you make something wrong. If you decide, and it might be wrong, you get criticized, but you learn, and you have to be so proud to say, okay, this was wrong, I accept it was wrong, we do it in a different way. And don't fear the honesty to all your community, to all your colleagues.
Thank you very much, Professor Peter and Dr. Abbas, for sharing your inspirational journey. We were not aware of your story before you joined Pakistan Endocrine Society, so that was something that was new to me as well. And lastly, I would like to request each of you to give some advice to our audience. If you have to give like 2 to 3 words, what kind of qualities they need to develop in themselves to make them leaders, effective leaders in their institutions, in their departments, to bring a change in the society.
I think I gave all this recommendation already, and if I have to choose 3, I would say listen, be persistent, and don't fear the next step.
Thank you. So listen, be persistent, and fearlessness.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, fearless, persistency, and listen.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Abbas.
Again, I will quote that in Urdu first, and I'll wait later on. This is something which my father told me when, and honestly, I didn't know the meaning and the gist of it. And what he said was that most of us, हम लोगों के ज़्यादातर का ज़रफ़ इतना कम होता है कि जब चीज़ कोई पड़ जाती है तो हम छलक जाते हैं. अब इसका मुझे मतलब वाकई में नहीं पता था. What he meant was, when you are in a position, when you get something, it's very difficult to maintain your integrity and to maintain the poise within yourself. And I think to keep your feet on the ground, because all of us progress in our life, all of us move ahead in our life. The problem is, if we don't keep our feet on the ground and realize that at the end of the day, these responsibilities are for the time being. Probably he's going to be the president for 3 years, and then he will achieve something, but at the end of the day, everything will go. You need to keep the connections and the relationships going in a positive direction, even if you're in a position or you're not in a position. And I think that's very important. And I see a lot of new endocrine fellows who are starting their journey into it. I think that is very important for all of us to realize with practice and everything, things will happen, things will progress, but keeping the feet on the ground and realizing the fact that this is just part of the journey that you have to be fulfilling is very important. And again, Peter said most of the important things, but I said the other side of it, realizing that the life goes on with or without you, and that and as Amir was mentioning it last time, again, I'll finish this quote with him, and he said someone retired, and he asked for the extension of his position, and if I may quote Amir on this, and he said, the person who was supposed to give him extension said, if you want to find out important people who are very, very, very important, you go to a graveyard and you'll find a lot of them there. So again, thank you very much for your service, and again, I think we should move ahead and get someone new. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Abbas and Professor Peter Schwarz. That was really enlightening session. Thank you very much. So I will invite Professor Raza Malik for his shield. And we have the next session starting in the hall adjacent to this one. I'll request each one of you to please join. We have a very important talk on hypoglycemia in type 1 diabetes. Thank you very much.